No bake triple berry cheesecake cups. It is delicious, it is festive, and guess what? It's super simple. Let's make some and you're gonna love them. To start, we're gonna whip some cream. So when you're making a no bake cheesecake in this case, you're gonna have your cheesecake base. It's not gonna have eggs in it or anything. So you wanna create the texture to be a little bit lighter and kind of easy to eat. So to do that, we're gonna whip cream and then fold it into the mixture later on. So all I need is chilled heavy cream. It always is best to start with a really cold, chilled cream. Now the reason is because it actually whips better and it will get bigger, loftier, and that's what you want. So I have it in a bowl. This is messy. If I'm doing it not on camera, I love to do this actually in my sink. Put it down in your sink, because then all the splatters or anything get in the sink as opposed to on you. So I'm gonna start whipping it kind of on low, turn it up to high until it's at stiff peaks. So you can see all at once, then you'll get these beautiful whipped cream. So this is gonna help lighten the texture. It's actually just gonna make it much better. I know you'd be surprised to think so, but this really just makes the perfect texture for something like this. So we're gonna set this aside, keep it right there. And now what we're gonna do is take a bowl. We can use the same beaters because we're just mixing together these ingredients that are right here. So here's pretty much cheesecake ingredients, but without egg, which is the important part. So we're gonna start with somewhat room temperature cream cheese. I want it to be soft enough you can see that it's gonna mix in really well with everything, because cream cheese is one, you don't want it to be lumpy. So I will even sit here sometimes and just kind of push it out a little bit. But then what we have is some sugar. So you can tell it's not like a massive amount of sugar, but you definitely want it to be sweet. We didn't need to sweeten the whipped cream because this has the sweetener in it. We're also gonna add some fresh lemon juice, just like you would in a lot of cheesecakes. We're just gonna put that right in there. That acidity, it balances out flavors, especially with the richness and heaviness of cream cheese. The acidity of and brightness of lemon just finishes it off. Some sour cream. You could use a good Greek yogurt here too. What this does again is balance out that heavy cream cheese. And it just, to me, creates it a little bit more, I don't know, more palatable. It just makes it a better and brings out the flavors. So we're gonna add a little bit of salt, just like we would in something we bake, and a little bit of vanilla. I think again, this balances out those flavors. It brings out a little bit more of that sweet flavor. So now we're just gonna mix this together until it's smooth. Same beaters, same everything, and then we'll be making these. So all you're doing here is really just doing it until it's smooth, creamy, which it is right now, looks perfect. It really just should look like a cream cheese base. So just make sure to fold it even a few times to make sure everything's mixed together. You don't want any lumps in there, you won't want any outliers, you want everything to be smooth. And now what we're gonna do is just fold in that whipped cream. So you don't have to be perfect here. I'll start with maybe roughly a third. I'm not really picky here. We're just lightening it nicely. So just slightly kind of, that first third you can mix in really well, making sure you just slightly lighten the whole mixture. And then what we're gonna do is take the rest of it and fold it in. So anytime you do this, you know, there are different no-bake recipes you do this with. It's because when you whip all that air, which is what you're whipping into whipped cream, to make it, it creates a light consistency, which is what you want. So now what we're gonna do is just fold this in, roughly going down the middle, cutting through and folding. The whole point of not wanting to do this too rough is that since there's air bubbles in the whipped cream, if you just roughly beat it, you'd break out some of those air bubbles and it wouldn't be as nice and light. But you can see here, look at that. Is that not dreamy? I mean, it's just, you could fill a pie shell even with this. It's really simple and it looks beautiful. So we're gonna let that sit. And now we're gonna just get our berries ready. And then once they sit a little bit, everything's ready to assemble. So for the berries, I like a mixture. I like all the different blueberries and blackberries and raspberries. I like them all because in the summer, when they're ripe, when they're ready, whether you grow them, whether you go pick at a farm, you wanna use the fresh ones because that's the delicious part of it. So we're gonna put all three of those berries in there and put just a little bit of sugar. So this is pretty much macerating, which if you haven't macerated something, when you put a sugar with something like a fruit, the sugar slowly breaks it down and draws out some of the liquid in that fruit. I also like to add a little bit of limoncello, which is a lemon liqueur. And what that does is it adds a sweetness, but also just a hint of that acidity, of that lemon flavor. I feel like when you mix those together, So what they're gonna do is just over the next few minutes, as this sits here, that sugar and the limoncello will actually start drawing out some of the natural juices in these berries. It will make them glisten. Look at how beautiful they already look. I wanna let them sit here, 20-ish minutes. Let it just kind of sit there and let the sugar dissolve into them, then we'll just assemble. I'm putting that cheesecake filling into a pastry bake. It just makes filling it easier if you wanna make individuals. Now, you could make one big one of this and make it a no bake. That's fine. I think there's just something great about making them individual. You can keep them in the fridge even if you want leftovers for yourself, if you're just doing it for one. It's whatever works. So I have the filling in there. And again, you don't have to. It makes it easier. You could use a scoop of some type too. But now what we want to do, you can see these berries have been macerating. See how they're glistening? Their natural juices are coming out. Look in the bottom, you're starting to get a little bit of that juice to pool. That's exactly what you want. You want that juice. And they just look beautiful. So now, all we need is to me a graham cracker crust, which you don't need, but it is kind of what's needed in a cheesecake. So I have a few crumbs left from something else. I'm gonna put in just some crackers, graham crackers. You could do anything you have on hand too. If you have a different type of cookie and you like that, do that. Like a lemon shortbread would be really good. So we're just gonna crush these up. We're not gonna put the butter and the sugar with them like you would in a crust because we're not baking this. So just enough to make it kind of a rough chop. I like to have some texture in those. And then when you're going to make 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it kind of depends on how much filling you want. Serving sizes are always smaller than we actually want them to be, so it just depends. But we're gonna put some of the graham cracker right down in the bottom. That gives us kind of our base. And what I like about it in this case is it adds a textural difference to that creaminess of the cheesecake filling. So it just kind of adds all those elements, which is nice to have together. So we have those, we have the berries. Let's get the whole point here. We all just want to eat this alone. So I'm gonna just cut the top, however big you want, and then you can just go right down into it. And you can see, you can kind of just start in the middle, let it work out, but look how luscious, creamy, and smooth that is. Now, I don't like to fill these too full because you want the berries to be right there too. So we're gonna go kind of around, get it like that. Look at that. That to me just looks perfect. And then we have these berries, which I like to get, if you can, get a little bit of that sauce so it kind of drizzles. I don't know why I'm whispering, but I think it's just because I get excited and then I slightly whisper, but we're gonna put those right down there on top. See, this is beautiful. This is to me perfect for celebratory, whether you have like the 4th coming up or whether you have different things, you can have these on and feel festive, but also just feel like it's summer, and that's really the point and the best part of it. So now, you're ready to go. You can eat these, you can enjoy them. Do they not? They just look good. I'm excited. So then you can just go right down in there. Look at that bite. You get the fresh berry. I love it. What I love is, yes, it's rich. Yes, it's a cheesecake-like filling, but there's a lightness to it. When you have that whipped cream worked into it, it's actually very light, almost a little bit lighter than like a pudding consistency, which I really like. The berries have a sharpness from that lemon, but then it's balanced by the sweetness and the natural berry flavor. I'm actually tasting raspberry and blueberry and blackberry. It's delicious. What do I hope you do with this? I hope you make something fun. I hope you make and enjoy summer, because that's what this is all about, enjoying the flavors of summer. So share this video around, because yes, that helps me immensely. But guess what? It helps everyone see good food, fun food, festive food, totally easy and doable to make at home. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for tips, for tricks, and for all the recipes. They're all on there. Until next time, have something colorful. It'll make you happy.